Hey, welcome everybody to today's class. Today we're talking all about weight loss and issues with maybe you put on extra weight, maybe you have had a lifetime of obesity issues, maybe you deal with obsessive compulsive problems with overeating, or maybe you have addictions to certain kinds of foods that aren't really healthy for you. Either way, if it has affected your weight, there's a reason for that, and so that's what we're going to be talking about all class today. Can you see me? Okay. To start off with, I just want to reiterate a couple of things. This group that you guys are in and you're a part of is all about learning how to get to the root causal level of what stands between you and vibrant, vital, healthy health, right? So when you have symptoms and you have problems in your body, there are always going to be spiritual, mental, and emotional contributors or factors to those symptoms. Hopefully that makes sense to you guys. So these kinds of symptoms that show up in our bodies, whether it be pain or whether it be your inability to lose weight, they are rooted in thoughts. They are rooted in beliefs on this level. And those thoughts and beliefs always translate into feelings and sensations in your body. Those feelings and those sensations in your body have biological consequences. Let me repeat that, because that's what this group is all about, you guys. It's about realizing that you're more than just a bag of bones and cells and tissue. There's a reason why that bag of bones and cells and blood and tissue manifests into physical form the way that it does. And yeah, for the most part, oftentimes in Western medicine, we kind of hear statements that cause you to feel like you're a victim to this stuff and that you have no power over it. And you have no ability to change it because it just is what it is based on your genetics. You're a victim to your genes. You're a victim to your upbringing. You're a victim to society. And that simply is not true. So we do know now that, even scientific studies are proving and showing and demonstrating that your belief system, your value system, how you choose to think and use this up here does play into what emotions and sensations you feel in your body. And those things do have a biological consequence in the physical construct of you. So let's talk a little bit about the possible emotional, mental, and spiritual root causes then to why people have such a hard time shedding or getting rid of weight. I actually am really good friends with the lady who has worked half of her life to try to keep her weight in check. She's lost hundreds of pounds. She's gained hundreds of pounds. And it's just been this constant, lifelong battle for her. And she's paid thousands and thousands of dollars on diet programs and exercise programs, beating herself to the ground to get to the gym and working out. There were times where she would work out for 3 hours a day and still not lose the weight. And then you see people who weigh 98 pounds and they eat everything in sight and they don't exercise. So if it was just only about diet and exercise, what you put into your body and how you move your body, then we wouldn't be having those dichotomies in our society, would we? So there has to be other components to this. And I'm not saying that diet and exercise are not valid, because I do believe they're valid. I am so appreciative of things that I know how to do with diet and exercise that have helped to support my physical body. So I'm not trying to discredit that or unvalidate that, but I do want you to see that there are other very legitimate components to what lies at the root maybe of why you're not able to shed those extra pounds that you've been looking to do. So let's talk about some of the possible emotional, mental, and spiritual roots to some of these difficult symptoms. I first want to talk about the word fat. So if you look that up in the Feelings Buried Alive Never Die book, what Carol Trueman says about fat is this. She says the possible emotions contributing to fat is that the person feels the need for protection, they resist forgiving, there's hidden anger. Usually that anger is rooted in something a little deeper, such as deep sadness from your childhood or from your past. Some of the affirmations that go with that are, I am protected by divine love, I am safe, I am responsible, and I forgive. So if you use those affirmations and when you say them, it doesn't feel good in your body, or something comes up and triggers you and you feel discomfort about that, then there's definitely something inside of your body that just needs, it needs to be healed, it needs to be transformed, it needs to change. Let's talk about obesity then. On that same level, if we're talking about possible feelings or emotions that contribute to that, obesity. People who deal with obesity tend to use food as a substitute for affection. So in other words, they're trying to fill a void. Now, just because you have a hard time letting go of weight does not mean that all these components are going to be necessarily true or legitimate for you. You kind of have to go through the list and not use it as a hard and fast rule, but use it as a guide to find out, so what's going on about that in your body? What's going on about that in your life? How does this affect you? And if it doesn't affect you, move on to the next thing on the list and find the ones that really do trigger you. Find the ones that really do bother you. Obesity, the inability to admit to yourself or to others what you really desire. So you can't voice your desires and your feelings. The next one, you can't express your true feelings. You're running away from feelings. You swallow your feelings. You shove them down into the body. The other thing that plays into obesity is severe high levels of insecurity and self-rejection. And so when that stuff starts playing in, what ends up happening to people is that they then lose their self-esteem, their self-worth. They no longer have sovereignty. They don't set up healthy boundaries for themselves. And it just creates this spiral. Seeking fulfillment, seeking for love, protecting the body. I thought it was interesting that that was one of the things on the list, that a person dealing with obesity is trying to protect their physical body. Not necessarily that they're trying to protect their emotions or their soul or their their spirit, but they're trying to protect their body. So the questions that I ask when my clients come to see me in regards to weight and weight loss would be, if we're dealing with something on that level, I would ask, what happened to your body that you would feel like you need to protect it? Did something happen? Was there a trauma? Was there some kind of an event that was traumatic to you where you felt severely unsafe from your body's perspective? So you can use these components that I'm sharing with you as just a way to kind of play around in the energy and find out what is there. So again, there's no rules to it. Doesn't mean that you have all of them. Doesn't mean you have any of them. It just means we can use this as a springboard to try to identify what's going on inside of you. The last two on the level of obesity have to do with trying to fill yourself up, trying to fulfill yourself. So if you feel unfulfilled in some way, somebody has been constantly sucking the life out of you, and you feel that you're not on your true soul's path or soul's mission, then that's probably going to show up on that level, and you're going to have a hard time shedding pounds when you want to shed pounds. The other one is stuffed emotions and feelings. If you're one who was trained and taught by your family and your culture to swallow your emotions back down, stop crying, dry it up. Don't be such a baby. Don't be angry. Don't be sad. If you were taught that having negative feelings was a bad thing, then you probably taught yourself early on in life that it was better for you to just swallow them back and ignore those feelings altogether. And so you do that for too much of your life, the body's going to kind of buy into that pattern and just be a total manifestation or a reflection of that deeper problem. Okay? So do you see how when we have these unresolved emotional components or unresolved situations that have gone on in our life, that they do have biological consequences in our physical bodies? And it really, your body's just trying to tell you something. It's trying to get your attention. It's not only is it speaking to you, it is broadcasting to the world what's going on with you on some level. And some people are actually really good at reading this kind of stuff. So they can see you, take one look, and pretty much identify what is at the root causal level of what you created there. Let's talk about the term overweight. If you feel that you are overweight, let's talk about that term for a second. Similar problems, feelings and emotions that contribute to that, they all have to do with insecurity and low self-esteem. Carol Trueman in her book says, insecure in self-rejection, feelings are based in misconceptions or untruths. Let me give you an example of that. So let's say as a little child, your parents get divorced and, hey Gina, glad you're here. Glad you guys are all on here. I see that there's 5 or so of you. So glad that you guys are connecting with me today. So I'm going to give you an example. Let's say that as a little child, your parents get divorced and you feel the pain and suffering of that trauma that goes on in your life. And what little children tend to do, because our society teaches them to do it, what little children tend to do is they feel bad. They don't know how to process those feelings. They don't know what to do with those feelings because we're not educating them. And so they turn on themselves and they judge themselves in it. Let's say you go through a horrible experience and someone projects their pain onto you in the form of abuse or neglect or something even more severe than that. As a little child, you're going to turn on yourself and you're going to judge yourself in it, and you're going to think to yourself, there must be something wrong with me or this would not have happened. So like the child who goes through the trauma of his or her parents getting divorced, the child may think, I'm not saying everybody would do this, but they may think to themselves, there must be something wrong inside of me or this wouldn't have happened to me. In other words, I feel bad, so therefore I am bad. Something's wrong with me. And usually it will translate into, I'm not enough in some way. I'm either not lovable, I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough, I'm not skinny enough, I'm not special enough, I'm not pretty enough. Whatever it is for you, whatever the mental scripts are that go on in your head, you kind of have to dissect that and take a look at, what have you been telling yourself all these years from the time of that initial trauma? What lies did you buy into? And that will help you to get deep down to the root cause of why you created this problem with weight and your body in the first place. So what will happen is the child will then take that inappropriate belief and buy into it as if it is a truth. So the belief, let's say the belief is, I'm not lovable. So let's say they carry that belief around with them until they go into adulthood and they start looking for people to date, people to marry, and they enter into relationships that will continually validate for them that they're not lovable, that they're not worthy of love. And they will continually repeat these patterns of unhealthy behavior, backing up that lie inside of them that somehow I am not worthy because I'm not enough. And so the only way to remedy that and stop these unhealthy patterns then from showing up in your life and in your body is you have to strip away that unhealthy belief. Because really, let's think about it. Let's think it through. As a pure, divine, innocent, beautiful little child, is it really true that you're not lovable? That you're not special in some way? Is it really true that you aren't worthy of something? Is that how God sees you? Is that how God created you? No, it isn't. So what's happened is you have been cursed by a lie. You bought into that lie. And as a result of buying into that lie, you now hold it deep within your subconscious as if it is true for you. And your life and your body is going to make sure that that is true for you because it wants to be congruent. Okay, I hope I'm making sense here. Let's keep going. Overweight has to do with self-rejection, insecurity, low self-esteem, usually wanting to protect the body and the soul. So if you carry a lot of excess weight, you're dealing with overweight issues, something happened in your past, potentially. I'm not saying absolutely, but potentially something happened to you that caused you to feel this need to protect your body and to protect what's in your body, which is you, your soul. Also, it's healthy to go looking for what those unbeliefs or those misconceptions or those untruths are, the lies inside that you have bought into. Once you discover what those lies are and change your paradigm, change your perspective, I guess, buy into the truth and stop denying the divinity within you and start owning the truth of who you really are, these problems will go away. I guarantee it. Guaranteed. Because they're rooted in this stuff. This is what lies at the core. They are the seeds that got planted that formed roots that are now deep in the ground that never seem to be able to be yanked out because you keep clipping the plant off at the top and then it just keeps regrowing. Nobody ever really got down to the core to find the seeds that planted the root to this problem. Let's talk about overeating. So some of you have addictive problems with addictions, right? And sometimes those addictions can fall in the lines of eating too much junk food, eating too much, just the foods that you know are not really supporting your body very well. It's almost like it is a lot like obsessive compulsive behavior, but it's more like self-abuse. So if you have created this monstrous lie inside of your subconscious that basically says, I'm not enough, I'm not worthy, I'm not lovable, then your conscious mind is probably going to do all it can to contribute and to hijack you and to show you that yeah, it's true, you're not lovable, you're not worthy, you're not good enough. And as a result of that, you will start exhibiting behaviors like subconscious behaviors of self-abuse, self-sabotage. You beat yourself up on the inside. A lot of people who deal with these overweight issues also have autoimmune problems. Like their immune system has turned on itself. And that's because there's so much disapproval of the self going on within on a deeper level. Okay? Remember, we've talked about addictions before, you guys, and if you remember, there are two components that are at play with addictive behaviors, and that is, number one, the person is looking to fill a void, right? They feel they're looking for love. That's what addictions really are rooted in. The person is just hungry, they're starved for love, and they don't know how to get it, and so they try to fill that void by using substances and chemicals and whatever will produce dopamine, whatever will produce serotonin. Serotonin and dopamine are two very powerful chemicals that are produced in your brain that cause you to feel good and to feel good about yourself. You know, back in the day, they used to prescribe fen-phen to people who were depressed because fen-phen helped to raise serotonin levels in the body, but it also caused people to have heart attacks and die. So it became a real problem. But what happens when serotonin levels dip down and dopamine dips down, then now you feel depressed again. And now you beat yourself up again. And that self-loathing just gets worse because you dip deeper down into that valley. Well, what is the remedy? Is it taking prescription medications that elevate you? No, it's not. You have to get to the root of these erroneous beliefs and values and attitudes that aren't true and that aren't serving you. Gina says, I was going to say comfort food makes me feel good inside. Yeah, that's because it's giving you this high. It's giving you an injection of dopamine. What is the drug? I want to say it's like heroin, but I can't remember. Is it heroin or is it opium? I can't remember. One of those drugs, really harsh drug. It's not really a psychotropic drug. In other words, it's not an addictive drug, but what it does is it creates high levels of dopamine in your body. You get this dopamine fix, like this huge rush. And when you have that huge rush, then the body is like, I want that again. It craves it again. But the problem is, once you've had one hit of this drug, I think it's heroin, once you've had that one initial hit, you can never duplicate that same level of high again. And so you have to have more, and you have to do it more often, and you have to have more and more. You have to increase the level of drug that you're injecting into your system in order to reproduce the next level down. So you just continue going down and down and down. And really what's happening isn't that the body's addicted to the heroin, it's that the body wants to reproduce that feeling of spiked dopamine, those good feelings about the self. If you want good feelings about yourself, drugs really are not the way to do it, because they'll just entrap you and ensnare you and bring bondage into your life. And if you're a religious person or you follow the beliefs of Christianity, you'll know, based on Holy Writ, that is a tool of the enemy. It's a tool of the enemy, is to bind you. And the enemy, the adversary, will take your thoughts, your beliefs, your attitudes about yourself, and these unhealthy emotions and behaviors, and use them against you. Gina says, for me, after the feel good, then I feel upset with myself because I didn't have enough self-discipline. Yeah. Well, see, that's what a drug will do. And so addicts can tell you this too. Anybody who has ever been an addict to anything, and it could be food. So what you're talking about, Gina, is an addiction to the feeling that you think that food is giving you. Does that make sense? You think that food's giving you this fulfilled feeling, like it's filling a void or it's filling a need, it's satisfying a need, and it really isn't. Your mind's playing tricks on you. And so we get sucked deeper and deeper into the tool of the enemy, the adversary. Yeah. So with addictions, we're looking to fill a void, and we're also looking to cover pain. So if you have been abused, neglected, abandoned, you're looking to run away from those heavy, horrible, awful feelings. When we put on excess weight, usually it's because we are afraid. We're afraid of our circumstances. We're afraid of other people. But we're also afraid of bringing up those feelings of failure and abandonment and fear and self-rejection. We don't want to feel those feelings, and so we swallow them down. We stuff them back in. It's interesting. There's a really great book that I use, and I'll share it with you guys so that you can go get it. Says, this is from the book A More Excellent Way by Henry W. Wright. He says, weight issues are deeply rooted in insecurity, a lack of self-love, a lack of self-esteem, the need to be loved. And he says the mouth is a contact point for love and security. And you think about it, as babies, everything goes to the mouth because we're looking for those constant feelings of love and security. Sucking the thumb, kissing. Babies like to kiss. They like to everything has to go to the mouth because that's where they get those feelings of love and security. And usually they get it from their mother. because, you know, they're, again, that point of contact. When the baby's being fed, they feel nurtured, they feel loved, they feel protected. And so that's why food for so many people it's kind of a comfort thing, because it starts from our babyhood. Okay? So, and then as we go into our adult relationships, you know, kissing on the lips, it's about love and security and safety, those feelings of feeling nurtured, and it's all here with the mouth. So when we have hand-to-mouth problems and we eat mindlessly the things that we know we shouldn't be eating, we're trying to fill a void, or we're trying to cover pain. Those two things are at play if you're dealing with this as an addictive problem. And I kind of think maybe, Gina, that might be a part of what you're experiencing is, yeah, there's probably some addictive behaviors because maybe there was pains from the past that have gone unresolved, and maybe there has been a giant void that never really got filled. So you never really found the way to fill yourself up with love. Tina says, Katie, my 6-year-old, has been putting stuff in her mouth lately. Yep. Yeah, they're looking for safety. They're looking for nurturing, looking for approval, self-approval. Very closely connected with the mouth. Yeah, this is huge. Really, and no pun intended. Okay. That just made me laugh. Sorry. And you know what, you guys? I am not above any of you because I deal with these problems too. So I'm just saying, I think all of us here in this group can benefit from this information because we're all dealing with the fact that we're mortal and that we're trying to figure out these human bodies that we carry around with us. Yeah, okay. Overeating can sometimes also be the result of tension and stress and anxiety. So if you have a lot of unresolved tension, stress, and anxiety in the body, it can lead to you holding on or clamping down. So even if you are going to the gym, even if you have changed your diet and you're doing the best that you can to support your physical body, it's still not enough because the body's not going to let go because it's holding on to tension. Gina says, I'm glad you can't see me. My mouth is open from learning something new. Yeah, I know. My jaw was on the floor too. So I'm just passing this information on. I got it from this information that we're sharing today actually came out of about 7 different books, but I will share with you my top 2 books as a resource and as a go-to when I have clients that come to me that really want to resolve these issues in their life once and for all. And you know, you can take from those resources whatever you need. So unresolved tension. This has to do with overeating. Material or emotional lack. So if you grew up in a household that really there was never enough and there wasn't enough to go around and kids went hungry or that kind of an experience, that definitely can translate over into problems with overeating and addictive personality problems. If there was a lot of lack and that lack was emphasized in your home when you were growing up, like there isn't enough, we have to ration this, and you know there's never enough money, there's never enough food, there's never enough la 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 la, and if that's constantly sung into your soul, then when you do come across times in your life where you can eat what you want, you will overcompensate for that feeling of lack that's still in your body that has never been resolved because nobody ever really educated you as to the fact that the universe is ridiculously abundant. Right? There's no such thing as lack. Even in a depressed economy, there's no such thing as lack because the universe is ridiculously abundant. So there's no need to hoard. There's no need to overeat. You find this a lot with people who are hoarders who tend to accumulate a lot of clutter in their homes and in their life. It's very reflective of those stuffed emotions. So oftentimes people who hoard material items and possessions, they're looking for safety and security and that nurturing feeling that maybe they didn't get. and somewhere in their life they were taught how to stuff feelings into their body. Don't feel, don't be sad, don't cry, don't be angry. Our culture kind of teaches it, and families will teach it to each other. I mean, when was the last time in your family anybody ever gave you permission to have your dang feelings? Think about that. Most people tell me never. This is the first time I've ever given myself permission to have my feelings. How sad is that? So when you're not willing to give yourself permission to have your dang feelings, you're going to swallow them into your body. And then you're going to look to cover that up or fill the void. Overeating also has to do with a person that craves closeness. Putting on emotional armor, trying to reclaim your personal power, so you throw your weight around. This is a real thing for people. So they feel victimized or powerless when they're too skinny. And so they want to avoid being skinny by putting on excess weight, throwing their weight around so that they feel as if there's some substance to them, and as if, I take up more real estate, therefore I am more powerful than you are. And it's just the person that's buying into these unhealthy lies about themselves that aren't true and aren't healthy. Oftentimes when you hold on to excess weight, or when you deal with a problem such as overeating, you're trying to eat your emotions. You're trying to swallow your emotions. And so you notice that you tend to eat in the times when you're the most angry or resentful or frustrated. You watch. If this is you, and if this is a problem with you as far as overeating is concerned, watch the times when you tend to just mindlessly eat. What are you feeling? Usually it's anger, resentment, or fear. Okay, let's talk a little bit about the different places then that you can put on excess weight, and maybe what could be playing into that. Like what could be lying at the root level of that stuff. So let's talk about the arms. If you put on excess weight around the arms and maybe the upper body area, back, chest, arms, that all has to do with your heart chakra. So the arms and the hands are an extension of the heart center. And so if laws of love have been violated, or you were denied love, you will tend to store excess weight there as a means of, I was denied love, so therefore I need to fill that void right there. I need to fill that void there. Does that make sense? Let's talk about belly. So if you tend to carry a lot of belly fat, and some of you guys might have one or two of these, some of you might have several of them, just kind of look at what's there for you. What could potentially be going on at the root emotional, spiritual level. Belly. If you grew up in a home where like we talked about before, where there was rations and there was lack, and the idea or the concept of there is never enough to go around. Maybe you grew up in a big family and you had to fight to get your portion of food at the dinner table. So you were denied nourishment, right? You were denied enough food to eat. You went to bed hungry. Then you may put on excess weight in the belly. Also, if you're putting on excess weight in the belly, that can also play into the fact that you're storing some emotion. Like we usually store a lot of our emotions in the upper and lower gut. Belly, sense heart attack. Yeah, you know what? That does make sense because, I know what you're talking about, Gina. There have been scientific studies and medical studies done on people who tend to store excess weight in the belly area. Those are people who are more prone to heart attack. And again, the root cause of that is that there was a denial of love, or laws of love were broken. And so it's not really that it's a belly problem or a heart problem. It's an emotional problem. Unresolved emotions that really just need to be resolved. Hips. If you put on excess weight in the hips, usually it has to do with stubbornness. Yeah, belly fat for me too, unfortunately. Darn it. I know. I'm working on this stuff just like you guys are. Hips tends to have to do with stubbornness, usually anger. And typically that anger is directed towards, if it shows up in the hips, it's directed towards your family, probably your parents. So just something to take a look at. So if you're carrying extra weight around the hips on that level, has to do with family, and you might want to take a look at whether or not you need to forgive. Probably both your parents. That's the first place to go. There could potentially be some resentment or some anger or just even deep sadness going on there. Thighs, if you carry weight deep down in the lower, the root chakra, the first chakra of the body, we go back to our childhood. The root chakra is all about the past. It's all about our childhood. It's all about safety and security and stability, right? So that's something to look at. Go back into your past and look at your childhood. If you carry excess weight around the hips and the thighs, just the thighs in general, really, look at maybe unresolved feelings of anger or resentment towards your parents. But do definitely look into your childhood. Oftentimes it can be, for some people, there's a pattern. It can be rage that is directed towards the father. Maybe the father was abusive. Maybe the father was an abandoner. I don't know. Whatever it is for you, whatever your story is, you just kind of have to kind of take this information and go, how does this apply to me? Or does it even apply to you? And if it doesn't, toss it out the window and move on, right? So these are not hard, fast rules. They're patterns that have shown up over and over and over in people that we can look at in order to maybe get some clarity as to what's going on with you. Gina says, good hips down, belly and up. Not so good. Okay. So you're good from the hips down, but from the belly up is where you have the most issue with these unresolved problems. That's what I'm guessing that you're saying. Also, I wanted to talk a little bit more about thighs. We did talk about maybe potentially rage or anger directed towards your dad. It could be mother, but typically we see it showing up towards the father. And then also, holding on to weight in the thigh area has to do with frustration. So, how do I word it? Like you're having a hard time moving forward. You think about what your legs do. Your legs carry you from here to there, walking. So your legs carry you from here to there. If you feel weighed down by those things that move you forward and propel you in life, then that's something that you need to investigate and start asking some questions on a deeper level. Does that make sense to you guys? So let's say, your legs carry you from here to there. They take you into your future. So maybe you have some resentment or some fear about the future and something's holding you back from moving forward. So that's definitely a road that you would want to go down in order to see how does this apply to you. When it comes to putting on excess weight, usually metabolism is an issue. And I'll tell you this, your metabolism is going to be influenced by the way that you think about yourself. Your metabolism is going to be influenced by the thoughts that you hold up here about who you are and what you're capable of and what you're worthy of. So if the feelings are kind of depressed feelings and the thoughts are kind of depressed thoughts, then the metabolism is going to be kind of depressed because it's just mirroring and reflecting in physical form what's going on with you on a thinking and believing level. Your thoughts and your beliefs have biological consequences, and you can't ignore that. These are really powerful influencers and contributors to the bigger picture of your wholeness. You kind of have to look at the body as a whole picture. You're not just a bunch of parts and pieces that don't relate to each other. Everything relates. Every thought you think matters and has a biological consequence in your body, in your bank account, in your relationships, everywhere. Having a hair problem today. So you're in the brain, the hypothalamus gland controls things like sleep and hunger and thirst and those kinds of things, like those basic human needs, like I'm hungry, I need to go get food. So the hypothalamus is the one that's guiding and directing that stuff. And when you have a lack of self-esteem or you're beating yourself up on the inside, the hypothalamus is going to pick up on that and be reflective of that. So if you're in conflict with yourself or in conflict with others, then your body recognizes that there's something going on a deeper spiritual, emotional root level, and it realizes, hey, there's a problem here. And what happens is then your serotonin levels will dip down and get depressed. And remember, serotonin levels in your body are they're the chemicals inside of you that cause you to feel good about yourself. They are the self-esteem chemicals. So as your metabolism dips down, as the hypothalamus dips down, as your lack of self-esteem dips down, do you see a pattern here? Everything else is going to just kind of respond equally to that to that creative power inside of you, which is thoughts and feelings and emotions and beliefs. So everything physically in your body is just mirroring and reflecting your thoughts and feelings, emotions and beliefs. Let's see. We did talk a little bit about how, depending on what your belief system is, if you subscribe to Christianity and you've read the Bible at all or ever, you realize that the enemy, which is the adversary, is going to use your feelings and your emotions against you. And that's how he binds you. That's how he gets in through the front door. And so if you're carrying around a lot of bitterness and self-judgment, self-loathing, fear, unresolved stuff from your past, then he's going to use that stuff to manipulate you and control you and bind you. And the crazy thing about that is that when he gets in and manipulates and controls and binds you, then you feel like you're the victim and you're powerless here and you have no ability, you're never going to be able to change this. And now he can control you even more because you're perpetuating more of those feelings and emotions that he's going to continue to use against you. So here's part of the problem with weight issues is that it's rooted in a lack of self-esteem. Well, if you go pass by a full-length mirror in your home and you don't like what you see as you look in the mirror, then it's just going to produce more of those feelings that caused this problem in the first place. Like, I hate myself. I hate what I see. So what is the remedy? What do you guys think the remedy is? Gina says, my weight is hiding me to protect me and protect me from getting hurt. Yeah, but is it? Is it? I would ask you that question. Is it? Because I don't think it is. I think your subconscious has bought into that, but it's a lie. That's just another one of the lies that you have bought into. It's not protecting you at all. There's no protection in putting on weight. There's no protection there. It's a false sense of security. It's a false sense of identity. It's a false sense of stability. And it's not filling the void where you are needing love, right? That love and protection that we seek for as little babies and children. It's not filling the void, and so it's not serving its purpose. Gina says, when I was raped, I tried to add weight so I wouldn't be attractive. Yeah, I get that. I do get that. I do understand that. I've coached hundreds of people who have been in your shoes in one way or another. I've walked with rape victims through this before, and your feelings that you have about this stuff, they're legitimate feelings. They are. I'm not here to tell you not to have your feelings, because they are real and they're legitimate. But just don't allow the enemy or the adversary to bind you with those feelings. Marlene, thank you for joining. You just hit the nail right on the head. Yes, this is the remedy, is to love yourself unconditionally. The problem lies in how you feel about yourself. So when you look in the mirror and you don't have good thoughts or good feelings, you perpetuate the same problem. It's perpetuating itself. And so here's something that came. I'm going to read you a quote from this book. I think it's a really good book, by the way. Right here. I know it's backwards. It's called A More Excellent Way. I've quoted this book before, but this is one of my favorite books. I love it because it gives me an opportunity to take some of the skills and some of the tools that I've learned in my practice and apply them on a faith-based level, according to what I subscribe to, which is, my religious belief is highly founded in Christianity, and I believe that what's in the Bible, what's contained in the Bible, is true. So, it's a huge book. It is a very huge book, but a really great book. But I want to read to you a quote that he gives on the section under issues that have to do with weight. He goes a lot deeper into this, but I'm not going to take you there. I just want to kind of get through this part, and then maybe we'll do some healing together, if you guys are open to that. Okay, he says, well, let me back up. As we have discussed, he says, weight gain involves a lack of self-esteem. This problem tends to grow every time the person looks into the mirror. When it does not tell you that you are the fairest of them all, your self-esteem suffers further. We are into comparing ourselves with others. You've taken your eyes off the living God that has created you, and you have set your eyes on others. Others have become your standard of acceptance, and they have become your false god or your false idol. Scriptures tell us to not judge. Scripture says to judge no man, know no man after the flesh. So don't judge yourself after the flesh. Does that make sense, you guys? So the remedy, as to what Marlene shared with us earlier, the remedy is you have to look on the inner self. You cannot focus on what's going on superficially if you want to resolve this problem. You can't. If you're focused on how badly you disapprove of your body, you're never going to let this go. It's never going to not be an issue for you. So you have to start training yourself. When you walk by a mirror, stop looking at your body and start focusing on the inner self, the higher self. Who are you really? And I will tell you this. I have a little testimonial. I think, Tina, you may have seen this because I think you're in one of these groups that I'm in, but I just was surfing through one of these healing groups that I'm a part of. And there was a girl that posted a before and after picture of herself where she'd lost, I think it was 100 pounds. Correct me if I'm wrong, okay? But she'd lost about 100 pounds, and she did not use diet or exercise to do that. How in the world does somebody lose 100 pounds and they didn't use diet or exercise? Because I thought our culture taught us that it's all about what you eat and it's all about how you move. Yeah, Tina says lots of friends. Okay, yeah, I think you know what I'm talking about because that post I think showed up just earlier this morning. And Gina says, I don't have many mirrors. That's okay, Gina. It's okay. I actually recommend to people when you're in the process of healing the root causal levels of why you put on weight in the first place, when you're in the process of healing that, and if every time you stand in front of a mirror you don't like what you see, you better stop looking in the mirror. You better stop it. Or you've got to somehow change the way you see yourself in the mirror and start looking on the inner self instead of the superficial external self. The external self is just the end byproduct of stuff that you have stuffed, emotions and feelings and mind patterns, beliefs and attitudes that you've stuffed in your body that just haven't been resolved yet. That's all the body's showing you. So it's not really a true, accurate reflection of who you are. So if you're building yourself an identity out of that, you're building a false identity. It's false. And we all know who the author of all lies is. It's the enemy. So basically you're being bound by Satan. Okay? What else? There was a couple more things I wanted to bring up, and then I think we're just going to go right into doing some healing work with you guys, if that's okay. I don't want to... We only have 10 minutes left in the class anyway, so... Okay, so these are the steps that I tend to take people through when they register to do private coaching with me, and they specifically want to work on weight issues. Number one, I get the client to start looking on the inner self instead of the external self. So that's the first thing that I teach you how to do. Second thing that I will teach you how to do is we're going to literally go inside of the body and help you to virtually change these unhealthy mental scripts, beliefs, attitudes. It doesn't even matter where you pick them up from or who projected those things onto you. None of that stuff matters, because this isn't talk therapy. It's just about getting to the root of the energy and changing and transforming the energy so you can have a totally different experience inside of your body. So we get down to the core root level of those sick beliefs and unhealthy ways that you've created an identity for yourself out of your physical body. And this isn't done on a strategy level. Like, it's not step one, eat a pear, step two, go do jumping jacks. It's not about that. This is more about changing who you are on an identity level and not a strategy level. I hope that makes sense for you guys. So this isn't about engaging in self-control. It's not about that. It's about reconnecting with the true identity of who you really are and letting that person make the changes. Because that's partially why you're in this mess in the first place. You lost touch with who you are. So you have to find your way back in, reconnect with who you are, get rid of those unhealthy mental scripts and emotional patterns and beliefs that caused you to buy into the lie in the first place. That's where we go. Number 3, then we start clearing fears, beliefs, attitudes, fear of man, fear of failure, fear of abandonment, fear of self-rejection. We start clearing those things one by one. And yeah, for some people it does take a little bit of time. It just depends on you. It depends on how easy it is for you to connect with your higher self. But I promise you that once you do, there's no better feeling. There's no better feeling than to let go of the parts of you that aren't really you. Does that make sense? You're basically what you're doing when we coach together and we're doing this work together. It's not talk therapy. It's not. It's about getting into your body and just identifying with what parts of you do you need to let go of that created this problem in the first place. Okay? Give me a thumbs up if that makes sense to you guys. The fourth thing that we do is together as I coach with you, I'll take you through a process where you get to take a look inside at who you really are, and you connect with yourself on a way deeper level. And it doesn't happen up here. You have to get out of your head. You have to get into your body. When you learn how to get out of your brain and into your body, you start having way more powerful mind. It's not mind chatter. The mind chatter happens up here. The mental scripts happen up here. But the conversations start to change when you bring all that stuff down and you get into your body and you really start learning how to think with the body and with the soul, as opposed to thinking just only with the brain. This is like a calculator. Your body and your soul is like a computer, a complicated computer that can run complicated software. I've given you this quote before, but the brain can process 40 bits of information per second. Your whole body and your soul on an energy level can process 40 million bits of information per second. Scientifically proven, medically proven. There's research that can back that. The best way to go find that research is go find, what's his name? Tina, what's his name? Just left me. Dr. Bruce Lipton. He wrote the book, The Biology of Belief, The Wisdom of Your Cells. He was a biologist, a cellular biologist at Stanford University, and made some really powerful discoveries about the impact of the consequences, the biological consequences of belief. Okay? So anyways, that's one of the things that we do, is I help you to start reconnecting with who you really are, so you don't have to buy into this ridiculous nonsense that caused you to put on excess weight in the first place and keep it on. And then the fifth step that we do in coaching is that as I teach you how to 100% accept full and complete responsibility for your life, for who you are, for the feelings that you manifest, for the biological consequences of those things. And the cool thing about that, you guys, is that the byproduct of taking responsibility for your life and your emotions and your feelings and your beliefs is that then you get to change that stuff, and it produces this feeling or this sensation of, I'm in control here. I have a sense of control. That gives me a sense of power. That sense of control and that sense of power then produces freedom. How many of you guys on this broadcast today just want to feel freedom? You no longer want to feel bound by your problems. You just want to feel freedom. I would be willing to bet almost 100% of you want that feeling. Well, that's how you go. That's how you get it. And I have tools that I can teach you how to do that. Basically, what we do is I have different methods and ways that we can help you to access these deeper levels of your being, so that you become the master of your body. So that not this is the master, but your higher self, your soul, your divinity becomes the master of your body. So anytime somebody comes in to see me in relation to weight issues and wanting to lose weight, the first thing that I ask them is, what are you holding on to that you haven't let go of? What are you not willing to let go of? And usually they know. The other one that I ask them is, what experiences have you had that caused you to feel the need to protect your body? What was the trauma? In Gina's case, there was some sexual abuse, a rape. That's pretty big trauma. And as a result of that, what needs to happen in your situation, Gina, is that resolution to that emotion that's going on in your body of being violated, that needs to be resolved in order for you to get to reclaim authority over your body. Your body's just telling you, hey, guess what? You put this here, this feeling. You were not the cause of the problem, but you put the feeling there, and the feeling has not been resolved. So as a result of that not being resolved in your body properly, the body's just going to continue to tell you, hey, I can't let this go until you let it go. I'm not going to let go till you let it go. And so it will never shed the weight. And you know what? You can starve yourself. You can go on a diet. You can do all the amazing things. Thanks, Marlene, for jumping on. I'm so glad you were here, and I'm sad you have to leave. Come back and watch the last little bit. Anyway, just definitely something to think about, something to look at. You have to make the decision, do I want to be free from this, or do I want to continue to carry this pain and suffering around for the rest of my life? You have to make the decision. Am I ready to let this go? Because your body won't let it go until you do. The other interesting thing about that is that I've come across a lot of people who have done diets and they've plugged themselves into this program or that program or like all these different programs that there are to force your body into losing the weight, and you can eat differently and you can go to the gym 10 times a day and you can do all those things if you really want to, but you are not going to affect lasting change. You might lose the weight, you might have a really good experience with it, but until you get to that emotional root and resolve it, it's going to come back. You're going to put the weight back on, you will. And probably in most cases, people put the weight back on and more because now they feel even more unsafe. Because look, it just all came back. See, I am a failure, right? See, I am not worthy. And so they just revalidated to themselves their low self-worth, and it perpetuates more of the problem. So this is what lies at the root, you guys. I gave you what lies at the root, and I gave you some of the things that I do when I work with my clients. You can try some of those things. If you need additional help, please reach out to me, private message me, and I can let you know how private coaching works and what we do and all of that stuff. That's not for this video right now, but the last question that I ask people when they come in here and want to affect weight loss change in their body is, who told you you weren't enough? Most people start crying because they know exactly where that originated. Who told you that you weren't enough? So I would ask you guys that. These are the 3 questions. Let's find where it lives in the body. We have 5 minutes. I've actually gone over on time, but we have 5 minutes if you want to clear and release some of this stuff today. Let's do it. What are you holding on to that you're afraid to let go of? What experiences have you had that caused you to feel like you need to protect? And who told you you weren't enough? Okay, where do you feel that in your body? Where do you feel that in your body? Notice it. If you feel so inclined, type into the box down below the video or to the side or wherever it is. Type in the box where you feel it and how much. On a scale from 0 to 10, how badly does this feeling weigh you down? Does it feel heavy? Ooh, Tanya Taylor says it's in my gut. Gina says it's in my heart. Yeah, it's a heavy energy, isn't it? Feels really heavy. So give it a number on a scale from 0 to 10. 10 is the worst. Amy says it's in the heart and gut. It's about an 8 for Tanya. Okay, here we go. What we're going to do is we're going to just give that energy an opportunity. Oh, I see 2 8s here today. Shoulders and heart, 7. Here we go, everybody. Engage with me. So go ahead and take your attention and your awareness and get inside your body. And I just want you to think about being inside of your body all the way down to the base of the spine. That's the root chakra. It's all about safety and security, and I'm okay, right? So think about the base of the spine and breathe. As you breathe out, I want you to soften your shoulders and just relax the tension. Woo! Heart and shoulders, relax that tension, please. The best way to relax that tension is drop your attention and your awareness down, down, down inside of your body. Go down into your hips and your legs and your feet. And breathe. Now, we're going to invite that energy, this heavy density in the gut and the belly and the heart. We're going to invite that to change. We're going to do that. One of my favorite ways to do it quickly is fire breathing. This isn't the only way to do it, but it's just fast. So we only have 2 minutes. So let's see what's possible in 2 minutes. Fire breathing goes like this. We're going to do 20 of them back to back. Keep your attention inside of your body. Do not leave the base of your spine. Ready, go. Slow the breath down, guys, but don't hold your breath. Blow that candle out. Take your attention and go down inside the body to the base of the spine. As you start to recover from this breath, notice there's a shifting that's taking place. Something's different. So take your attention, go inside of the center of your body and drop down. And breathe. As you breathe, I want you to soften the shoulders, drop your shoulders. Relax your face. Just surrender. Just surrender. Keep breathing. Keep that attention inside of your body. Everybody say this together. Ready? Go. We're going to say, I am responsible. Go. I am responsible. One more time. I am responsible. Woo. There's a change. Did you feel that shift in the gut? You gut people? Did you feel that? Something moved. Okay, so now I want you to say out loud, it's okay to feel this. It's okay to feel this. It's okay to feel this. Say it one more time. Now say out loud, it's okay to let this go. I'm done with it. It's okay to let this go. Don't stop breathing, you guys. Don't hold your breath, please. Breathe in. Holding your attention inside of your body. It's not in my throat. Tanya, was it in your throat? It is not in my throat. What does that mean? Because I thought it was in your gut. Does that mean it moved to your throat? Because maybe that's what I'm getting. Woo, it's burning. It's burning in your throat. Yeah, it's burning. Like, I feel like I'm being strangled, but I feel like I'm being strangled by a hot metal wire. So, what happened that caused you to not feel like you could speak up or speak your truth or choose? Who stepped all over your ability to choose? And breathe into your body, drop down to the base of the spine, roll your shoulders up, back and down. We're just going to open up space there, okay? You could tap. Yeah, it's definitely, several of you guys have it in the neck and throat. We're just going to tap a little bit around that region. Open up space. And breathe. It's important that you breathe, and it's important that you hold awareness and attention inside of your body. Do not pop out of your body. Take your attention and go inside. You can start tapping. Okay, what I want you to do, Tanya, breathe and soften. Slow the energy way down as you take your attention to the base of the spine. I'm going to have you not expand, but tighten these muscles around the vagus nerve. The two most gigantic nerves in your body is the vagus nerve. It goes down your neck. And emotions travel through the nervous system. So we're going to just open up space here to clear this. The best way to do it is squeeze it tight and then release. So what I do is I smile. I call it the smiley face. Pull all your muscles back towards your ears. Lift your eyebrows big and high and smile. As big as you possibly can get that smile, and stretch it, pull it, lift it, whatever you got to do to pull these muscles. Tighten them for 6 counts. When you're done, just release and breathe. That feels better already. Just drop your awareness and your tension, go down into your body, deep down into your body, deeper. Tanya, you may need to go underneath your feet. You might need to take your attention under the feet. Okay, now it's back in the gut again. Take your thumb, press down on the gut. Like, let's say this is my sternum right here. I'm going to press down just below your ribs, just below the sternum, barely below the sternum, way above the belly button. Press down, breathe and soften. Holding your awareness deep inside your body. Go down the hips, the legs, the feet, under your feet. Think about being under your feet. There's actually an energy center under your feet, so I'm taking you there for a reason. Gina, did the stiffness in your neck leave? I want you guys to also be aware, sometimes you can take in negative energy that's not your own. We call those demons, unclean spirits, entities, whatever you want to call them. Those things can get into your body when you feel a binding or a stiffness. Sometimes it can be from that. So just kind of be aware that these are all... The enemy uses tools against you to bind you. And so if there's literal physical binding and stiffness going on in the body, that's definitely some questions that you may want to be asking yourself. Do I need to cast this out? Gina says, I've been working on releasing the last week. Good. Good. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, everybody give me feedback. Does that feel like it pretty much moved? You feel a little better? A little lighter? Definitely the gut issue is gone. Throat feels better. I'm feeling some heaviness up here in the face, though. Who's got that going on? Anybody? So, if there's just a little bit of residue left, what I'm going to have you guys do is, it's called a delete. Tanya, I knew that was you. Okay. I mean, we're going to do a delete. Let's do 2 of them. A delete goes like this. You're going to just use your pretend muscles to pretend. Just imagine we're training the energy or the subconscious to buy in. That's why we use imagery, okay? You're just training your subconscious to buy in. So the imagery that I'm going to have you use is this. Let's pretend that, like on a computer, when you delete a corrupted file, you push a button and go, delete, and it's gone, right? Let's pretend that that corrupted file gets sucked into a central vacuum cleaner down below your body, under your feet, like a big swirling black hole, and it gets sucked down and out of you into the black hole where it gets transformed, okay? And then also, at the same time, I want you to pretend that massive surges of light, like a geyser, like Old Faithful geyser going up you. I want you to imagine surges of light going up the body and out the top of the head. At the same time, the delete corrupted file is going down and out. Ready? 1, 2, 3, delete. Boom. Now breathe. And I want you to picture that light surging up the body like an upside down waterfall, going up, going up, going up, and all the dingy, dark, heavy, gooky corruption gets sucked down the body, out the feet, and into the earth. Keep breathing, keep mentalizing that. Is that a word? It probably isn't, but that's okay. Keep imagining it. Keep going. Let's do it again. 1, 2, 3, delete. Boom. Now breathe. That light should be surging up your body right now. It is now. Okay. I don't know if I have that kind of power, Tina. No one's going to rewrite the dictionary on my behalf. You guys should feel pretty light and fluffy by now. Anybody still feel heavy and gross? You should feel lighter. Now, the key to weight loss. Here's the power of weight loss without changing your diet, without going to the gym, without exercising like a fiend. This is the key. The key is to feel as if you are light. As if you are light. And perpetuating that feeling in your body every day. And also, it's about letting go of the parts of you that make you feel heavy and weighed down and held back and who you aren't. You got to get back in touch with who you are. And some of you might need help doing that. And that's what I'm here for. So I feel light and fluffy and cold. Hey, thank you for bringing that up, Tanya. When you feel a shift in temperature, a change in temperature, that's typically because you have transmuted the energy underneath that belief. So like I asked you those 3 questions. I need to do some pondering. Okay. The 3 questions were, what are you holding on to? What experiences have you had that caused you to feel the need to protect? And who told you that you weren't enough? So when I brought up those 3 questions, you guys started to feel the energy, where you were storing that energy in the body. It was in the gut, it was in the throat, it was in the heart. Amy says, I feel joy and hope. Thank you. What else did I miss? Tina, sometimes we have to experience who we are not to learn who we are. I'm going to end on that note because I think that is so profound. I think you should write a blog about that, Tina. For those of you who don't know, and if you have teenage children who are struggling with addictions or problems or self-esteem matters, you need to contact Tina because that is her expertise. She coaches teens and she's really good at it and amazing. And you really need to blog about that. I love that. Sometimes we have to experience who we are not in order to learn who we are. And I'm going to end on that note. I want you guys to kind of ponder that a little bit. And I also want you to ask the question to yourself, what part of myself do I need to let go of? What part of myself, how can I word this? Hold on just a second. So that, what part of myself do I need to let go of so that I no longer require holding on to weight on my body, so that I no longer require this problem? What part of myself do I need to let go of so I no longer require this problem? And that is it for me. Thank you so much, you guys, for engaging. Thank you for being a part of this class, because it would be really boring if I was just talking into my phone all by myself. So I thank you for being here. I thank you for your time, and I hope you got something out of it. If you want to keep doing this healing, keep rewatching the replay. It's yours to keep. So watch the replays multiple times and see if you can get down to some deeper root levels of this stuff and see what's possible for you to make those kinds of changes in your body. And again, if you need help, you can private message me a little later. Okay, talk to you guys soon. I love you all. Bye.